this angle. Thanks to my wonderful technical crew over here, Jim and Jean. I don't know what I might do with the video. I may put it on Facebook or on my website. The presentation today is on where Jim and I are moving to in a couple of months. We're moving to something that's called a CCRC, which stands for Continuing Care Retirement Community. And this is an academic definition that I took from a continuing ed course I recently took. It's too dry for me. So really, but the thing that strikes me about this is that CCRCs are only 50 years old, plus or minus 50 years old. That's not very old. And they didn't know things are changing so rapidly that I really think the word retirement is now obsolete, because retirement 50 years later, doesn't look anything like it did 50 years ago. I originally didn't realize I'm not going to be the only person that continues working at this place. A lot of people are working and nobody really looks their age. CCRCs are a place where people can live a carefree, safe, luxurious, fun, stimulating, enriching, no matter what your interests are. So the community we're going to, I've got their website and everything. It's between Fort Myers and Naples in Florida. It's one of the oldest CCRCs in the country, one of the biggest, and it's got a population of close to 3,000 people, and I would describe it as a combination between luxury resort, small fine art, liberal arts college, loads of athletics, whatever interests you. It's really amazing. So I have some show and tell, and one of the things I have up here is all of the amenities. You literally can't list them all. I do know that since Jim and I started visiting, somebody bequeathed them $10 million, which they're using for a new fine arts center with theater, etc. And they think it's going to cost $25 million. They've got $21 million already. So the place continues to grow. They've got a new dog park and 2 additional restaurants. So there's an amenities list. There's a monthly magazine. There are 2, which I've got some past issues. There's 2 closed-circuit TV stations. There's weekly newsletter. You cannot choose between all that stuff there is to do. It's got grounds that are kept really immaculately, and people seem to really like their jobs. I've noticed little labor turnover because the employees get treated well. They have 3 assisted living on site, medical on site. One of these brochures, if I want a primary care, podiatrist, there's there to choose from right on campus. They have 24-hour medical care. If Jim or I are sick in the middle of the night, we will call a central number, and a physician's assistant or a nurse will be there diagnosing us, and then a half hour, 45 minutes later, the 24-hour pharmacy will be delivering our meds. And the grounds are just gorgeous. I have a map I can pull up shortly. And I also bought some slides of what our new place will look like. So it's kind of cool. So where am I going from here? Okay, go forward. Okay, legally the CCRC has to watch out for you. They have to provide you with care through the end of your life. But until you arrive at the end of life, you are having a ball. I also want to give you some facts about aging. This is from a recent issue of the New York Times Magazine. Nobody really knows what aging is going to look like going forward because things are changing before our eyes in just one generation. And this is stuff that I also see in my long-term care trade reading that I constantly get throughout every day. If you make it to your 65th birthday, there's a good chance that you might live another 30 years. The fastest growing segment of the population is between 85 and 94 years old, but it's not the longevity that's going to transform things so much. It's the fact that there's going to be so many people that are old, not the fact that we have older people. Nobody seems to have a solid plan. And I also want to mention another theme that I see a lot, very often in my trade reading, and I witness it all the time among my own clientele. that baby boomers, according to a new report by the Joint Center of Housing Studies at Harvard, they want to age in place, and the problem of social isolation has become alarming. And it also, according to a recent AARP Public Policy Institute and Harvard and Stanford universities, estimated this aging in place. I see it with my own clients. People are isolated. It's not a graceful, in my opinion only, it's not a graceful way to age. So that's why Jim and I are going. So what do we have here? Yeah, I went over that. There's the links, their extensive website. You can see our apartment blueprint. You can see anything you want. You can see activity schedules. So how did this 180-degree transformation of attitude occur? Because Jim and I really never would have considered this 3 years ago, just no way. And the interesting thing, well, it occurred over 2 to 3 years' time. It wasn't like a light switch that you switched like that. It was a gradual, graceful attitude change. It was only because of our friends Sally and Wendell, which I'll show you, and only because of immersion. They did the kindest thing that we could possibly imagine, and only because Jim found the right bridge studio. If he had not, that would have been a deal breaker. This is my friend Sally, and Sally does exactly what I do, only she's based in Maryland, outside Baltimore. And Sally and I have known each other professionally for 20 years or so. We see each other anywhere from 1 to 3 times a year at various insurance conferences. This is one in 2017 where in the exhibition hall at the end of the day sessions, you've got a bunch of exhibitors, so this was one of the phony baloney backdrops because the conference was in Jacksonville, so they give you all these props. So that's Sally and me. And this is Sally and me the week after Thanksgiving. Some of you know that I made a trip to our community, which is called Shell Point Village. Shell Point Retirement Community, they renamed it. So when I went up there this last time, I technically approved our apartment, but Jim and I knew exactly where the apartment was. We're now very familiar with the campus. We now have a lot of friends there. And so it was just a formal approval. And then I got to pick out a couple of wall colors and a couple of floor coverings. And so that was us more recently. And what happened is that Sally used to just crack us up because there'd be a whole group of us that traveled around our conferences together. We were all BFFs with each other. And Sally, maybe over 10 years or more ago, she started just talking up Shell Point this, Shell Point that. And we would laugh at her. And one time about 6 or 7 years ago, she came to our insurance conference with sales and collateral, like a portfolio like this for each one of us, of Shell Point sales information. And she insisted that we come up to her room, and she gave us a formal presentation. Because the deal is Sally's mother lived at Shell Point Village 20 years. So Sally and her whole family went back and forth over 20 years. Sally's sister now lives there. So there isn't a question that you can ask Sally about Shell Point that she doesn't have the answer to. And I asked her some questions that were on the more technical side because of what I've done for a living, and they passed muster splendidly. So this is where there are a few population centers on the island. Jim and I, in Shell Point. Jim and I will be on the island, and you can see it's surrounded by water. This is a river that is salt water and very wide. It looks like the Gulf. I think it's pronounced Calahoochee, whatever. I will be pronouncing it by the time you live down there. And it's mangroves all surrounding the island. The island is the most populated place in the community, but they have 2 other population centers too. We are going to start out in a building. It's called Sand Dollar. That's our building. So they are 2-story, approximately 100 apartments in each one, I'm estimating, and they're 2-story. They're the oldest buildings, so some of them are about 50 years old. And all of the buildings, the cursor's not working so well, that's why it's going back and forth, but All of the two-story complexes, they all have shell names. So we're in Sand Dollar. You see Periwinkle, Cameo, Nautilus, they're all named after shells. And so where we are, they've got a concentration of administration. It's the most densely populated. And so there's like 6 restaurants ranging from a Starbucksy and coffee shop on up to what we would call a 4-star place and some mid-range places. And the food is very good. And Shell Point is actually a 501c3. So when you live there, you can buy dining dollars at 85 cents on the dollar, and because it's 501c3, you don't pay tax on your dining. So it's very well priced and it's really good stuff. So anyway, we're pretty excited. We know a lot of people there already. This is our building. There are 2-story units. This will probably be a starter apartment because there's an obscured, teeny little sliver of water view. But I'm going to show you the view from our friend Sally and Wendell's apartment. So, but the landscaping is beautiful. So in our little Sand Dollar complex, there's alcoves and esplanades. And they are just kept, they're gorgeous. So this is a little alleyway that's off to the side of our apartment. And that's the esplanade. And second apartment from the end is our cute little apartment. So people have to move into these baby starter apartments first, because there are 2, we went on a wait list to get in. And once we're in, we get to go on the resident wait list. And that's when you might get a prized apartment with the unobstructed water view. That's Sally, the week after Thanksgiving, and that's Kathy, who helped us pick out the decor, and she's touring us the apartment. And by a crazy coincidence, the Stein is BB Stein, and we met her the first time we went. So it's just a crazy coincidence that Sally's sister figured out that BB lived there, and we were getting BB's apartment. So we already know quite a few people down there. We have a really nice lanai, and there's water right beyond those bushes, but and there, I'm not really griping because anywhere you walk, it's just a few yards to see beautiful water. And it's a diminutive apartment, and we are considering that a great omen. We are happy to say we've been told that our current house is a primo location for an estate sale, because we are selling and giving away so much stuff. So that's looking from the living room, and that's from the kitchen. The lanai is really a nice lanai, it goes on. And that's the opposite, looking at the kitchen from the living room. So they're gonna put down new floor coverings. BB hadn't lived here long. Usually they'll gut the apartment out much more, but BB kept it in immaculate shape. So only got to pick out some wall colors and some floor coverings. And the bathroom's nice. There's 1 bathroom. There's gonna be a second bedroom, and that will be for guests. And we are hoping, anticipating that I might decompress a little bit and not feel so like on the go all the time, and have more time to entertain visitors from Rotary, if you wanna come visit us. Yeah. And, so that's Kathy giving me the measurements. That's the master bedroom. And when you move to Shell Point, you automatically can have a free boat slip. But more important to me, you can have 2 kayak slips come with the deal. So, and a lot of amenities come with the deal. Cable TV, utilities, security. And so this is the view from Sally and Wendell's apartment. Part of the immersion thing is after Jim and I put our deposit down to get on the wait list at Shell Point, our friends Sally and Wendell said, well, you're gonna have to take it seriously, so tell you what, because they live down there only part-time so far. And so they said, tell you what, Wendell and I have to pay our monthly update anyway. We have to pay that monthly fee. It would honor us if you and Jim would come down and stay in our apartment while we're not there. So what we've done is we've arranged for our visits to dovetail, and we socialize and have a real fun time visiting with Sally and Wendell. We take them and drop them off at the airport, move into their apartment. And that's really a large part probably of how the pennies started dropping for both of us. And then we found Jim his bridge game. So anyway, That's my presentation. If you have any